Alrighty, welcome to your challenge round 5.2. It gives us two functions. We've got a parabola here, because I see x squared, and we've got a linear function here, as represented on the graph they gave us. And then they give us this weird thing. F of x times g of x is less than 0 for all values of x when x is in between -6 and -3, or when x is greater than 2. And from that we need to determine the value of a in terms of m, showing all workings. Okay, so this is quite a complicated way of giving us points. So let's break it down and analyze it. So if we grab the statement here and we analyze it, it's basically telling you if I multiply the y values of the graphs, I'm getting a negative number. And for that to happen, one has to be positive and the other one has to be negative, because a positive times a negative gives you a negative. So to analyze that even further, you start scanning all the way on the left of the graph. So on the left of the graph here, I've got a negative y value, and the parabola will be like down there, and he's also got a negative y value. So it's not happening down there, because I've got a negative y value times a negative y value. But as soon as I cross this point, it's going to start working, because then the green graph has a positive y value. But if I go down to the blue graph, he's got a negative y value. So it starts working over there, and they told us it starts working at -6. So I can conclusively say this point is -6. Okay, now I'm going to keep scanning after that. I've got a positive y value here and a negative y value here, so it's still working. Things are going to change when I cross this point, because as soon as I cross this point, the blue graph has a positive y value and the green graph also has a positive y value. So it stops working over there, and they told us it stops working at -3. So this point over here is -3. And now I'm going to keep scanning my graphs from left to right. This one's still got a positive y value. The green one's still got a positive y value, so nothing changes. Positive y value, so that's not working. Things are going to change when I cross this intercept. Now I've got a negative y value for my blue graph and a positive y value for my green graph. So it starts working over there again, and they told us it starts working over there again. So at this point over here is 2 and 0. So all of this mumbo jumbo was a really difficult way of giving you these 3 points. And we're going to use these 3 points to our advantage. With these 2 points, we can get somewhat of the equation of the parabola. And to find the equation of a parabola, we use this formula. So we've got an a on the outside of the bracket, and it's x minus x1, x minus x2, and then x1 and x2 are just placeholders for the x-intercepts. So we have the x-intercepts of the parabola, they're here. So I'm going to chuck them into this formula and see what happens. So I just want to illustrate how you put them into this formula. So if I put -3 in x1's place, it's going to be -3, which will turn it into x plus 3 in our first bracket. And if I put 2 into this one's place, it's just going to be x minus 2. And now I'm going to FOIL the brackets. After I've FOILed the brackets, I'm going to distribute this a inside the brackets. And then that's like as far as I can go. I can't really go anywhere from there, because I don't have a different point to sub in and solve for a. So that's pretty much as far as I can go. Now I'm going to direct my attention towards the green graph, G. So let's grab the standard form for a linear function, y equals mx plus c. And now I'm kind of going to do what I did with the parabola. I'm going to sub in what I can here. On the green graph, I only have 1 point here. So I'm going to sub that in over here. The y value is 0, so that will go in y's place. And the x value is -6, so that will go in x's place. After making that replacement, I'm just going to simplify things a little bit. M times minus 6 is minus 6m. And then I'm going to take that minus 6m over to the other side and it becomes positive 6m. And now what I have is an expression for the y-intercept for both the parabola and the linear function. So c is the y-intercept for a linear function, and this number at the end here without an x is the y-intercept for parabola. And if we look at the graph, they both have the same y-intercept. C is the y-intercept of the blue graph, and C is also the y-intercept of the green graph. So if they're the same, it means these two things must be the same, so I can make them equal each other. And then the question wanted the value of a in terms of m. That's a fancy way of saying get a on its own. So to get this a on its own, I divide both sides by negative 6. And negative 6, or 6 divided by negative 6 will just give you this negative 1 in front. The 6's cancel. And a equals negative m will be our final answer. Yes, this is a level 4 question if I've ever seen one. Right, let's see where our 5 marks are going to come from. Your first mark comes from substitution into the parabola formula, so this formula over here. The second mark comes from simplifying that mess into this line. The third mark comes from subbing this point into the linear function in this line here. Fourth mark is equating the two y-intercepts or subbing one into the other. And the last mark, the fifth mark, comes from a equals negative m, the final answer.